So let's talk about using Zoom or other webcasting platforms in order to share your message. Many times when we think about facilitating, we think about being in the same physical space with someone else. However, the world has changed, and although in the beginning when there was a pandemic, when the pandemic started, it was out of necessity that platforms like Zoom were being used. Now people are finding that it is a really powerful option. I've actually been in sessions via Zoom that have felt as if I was in the same physical space. I had the same type of emotional reaction and cognitive processing that I would if the person were sitting physically in front of me. So as facilitators, we really want to leverage this technology because it allows us to reach into spaces that we may not have been able to get into before. And it also allows people to be in the safety of their homes or businesses while still connecting and learning from you. So I want to talk about a couple things that will help us to be successful on these webcasting platforms. One is making sure that we present ourselves in a way that invites people to participate and they can understand who we are and have confidence in what we're doing. The second thing we want to make sure is that we set ground rules that allow us to create safe space even across different distances. The third thing we want to make sure is that we use the tools that are available in the platform to deepen the learning experience. And then the fifth thing is that we use the technology that we have to get across a message that will change people's lives. So first and foremost, what I make sure that I do is that when people are communicating with me via a webcasting platform, that I make sure that the image that they see projects confidence, wisdom, knowledge, and that it's easy for them to see me and to interact with me. So I want to make sure that they can hear my voice. So I'm testing to make sure that I'm speaking loud enough or that I have a microphone that will assist me. I want to make sure that I am not going to lose the signal during the conversation. So oftentimes I am connecting my computer to directly to the router so that I will not lose anyone. And then finally, I'm looking at how I appear in that screen. When I look at how I appear in that screen, I'm making sure that my face is central, that it is not, they can only see half of me, that I'm not covered up, my face is not covered up by a hat or some other thing, that as much as I can, that I control the glare, that the lighting on me is appropriate and complementary to me. And so those things might seem small or even very surface, but you want to project the best image to the people that you are trying to connect with. That includes being in a space that there's not a lot of outside noise that will interrupt you. The second thing you want to do is think about any ground rules that you need to set in order to create a safe and productive space in which you can all do your work. One of the things that I think is really important, especially in the work that I do that requires vulnerability, is that I ask everybody to be on camera and to remain on camera. In the early days of me doing this work, I would notice you're having conversations with people and then all of a sudden people would pop off and on the screen. And if you think about it, if you were in the same physical space, it would be the equivalent of somebody leaving the room multiple times. And that breaks the concentration and it breaks the connection that you have in the room. So what I ask people to do is to stay on camera, but like anything that would happen in a physical space, if you really have to go to the bathroom or really have to answer an important call, that you excuse yourself and say that you'll be right back. So we're using the same social courtesies that we would use face to face, but we're just using them in this virtual space. Another ground rule that I often have is that People who participate, they make sure that they are in a confidential space. What that means is if we're all connecting with one another and we're sharing our hearts and minds, that we don't all of a sudden see your kids run into the room or your partner. We want to make sure that this conversation stays between the people who are officially participating. So that means you might need to be in a room that has a door so that no one can disturb you, or whatever it is. We want to have that same kind of safety that you would have if we were face to face. And then maybe the third example that I would give is that when you're not speaking on camera, that you mute your phones or you mute the video, because oftentimes those outside sounds and voices can disrupt whoever is speaking. You have to figure out what rules and guidelines you need to give to participants that will make this experience even stronger and deeper for the people who are participating, and those are the rules that you would share. The third thing that you want to do is to really leverage the technology. One example is in the Zoom technology, you have chat rooms. And so I can share a message with the entire group and let them know, welcome, here's a link that everybody needs to see. Or I may use a private chat. Oftentimes I use this with a co-facilitator. One of us may be speaking and the other one is watching the time. And so the person watching the time would privately say, you've got 2 more minutes to wrap things up. And so we're helping each other in that way. There are other things that you can use. You can use video and introduce that. You can show PowerPoint, even a whiteboard. And those tools can really enhance the experience that you have when you're webcasting. And then the last part of the webcasting experience is just this understanding and awareness that the ways that we connect physically when we're in the same room are just also available when we are doing it virtually. For instance, there are times that I am on the webcast that I can look directly into that screen, and you may feel as if I'm talking directly to you, the same as if I were in the room with you. If we conduct ourselves in such a way that we use some of the same techniques, skills, and mindsets that we use when we're physically in the same room, we can get just as deep of a connection as we do when we're in that same room. Virtual and webcasting technology really can be a complement to the work that we do as facilitators and not a hindrance. It all depends on our mindsets as we enter this technology, and also the ways in which we conduct ourselves. If we do some of the things that I've laid out here and add our own complements that we learn over time, we can have such a powerful experience using the technology that is available. The opportunities are unending. And I look forward to you finding ways and exploring ways to make your facilitation, take your facilitation to the next level as you help people who need what it is you have to offer.